I greet you all. Good afternoon, dear friends. We are meeting with you on the eve of a wonderful spring holiday, Women's Day, March 8th. And, first of all, I congratulate you on this holiday. I congratulate you and all the women of Russia. I would like to wish you all the best, personal happiness and industrial success, in the broadest sense of the word. We all know very well that in the traditions of almost all the peoples of the Russian Federation, there is a special attitude towards women, a special one. This is connected, first of all, with the warmest, sincere attitude towards the mother, gratitude to the mother for her life, for her upbringing, for her attention, for her warmth. This is a special attitude to girlfriends, to wives. Of course, a woman has a lot of responsibilities. She needs to be beautiful and attractive at home. And at the same time, she needs to perform a large number of traditionally female household duties. I've already talked about children. But often the other half of the family, the husband, also needs the same care as the children. Well, as for work, our women always, I want to emphasize this, they always have a special attitude to the business they are engaged in. They are very responsible, that is, you, and in general, all the women of Russia, and for this, too, separate words of gratitude. And nowadays, women take on responsibilities in those areas of activity that, at least in our country, have traditionally always been and are related to such male, as we say, professions. All these areas are also represented now at our meeting in the Kremlin. These are military personnel and of various specialties and areas of military service, not only doctors, signalmen, but also other military specialties. This is the defense industry. This is science. And I looked at the certificates before entering this hall. There are even artists who are directly involved in military activities, who participate in propaganda brigades, perform in front of our fighters, in front of our guys. There are many of these directions. And of course, we will always evaluate the contribution of one person or another, regardless of whether it is a woman or a man. We will evaluate the contribution by what this or that person, in this case our women, does within the framework of their professional duties. I repeat, there are different people here, different women, including those who are currently undergoing training under the well-known Time of Heroes platform. I hope you will also tell us about how your training is going there, and what prospects are opening up for you. Once again, I sincerely congratulate you on the upcoming International Women's Day on March 8th. You are welcome. Which one of you would like to start?
Thank you for taking the time to gather us in such a festive mood. I am Lieutenant Colonel Irina Godunova, commander of the Communications Battalion. I come from a military family. I was born in Germany, my childhood was spent in military garrisons, and I had no question about choosing a profession. It was in Potsdam. I graduated from the Novocherkassk Institute of Communications. I went from a platoon commander to a battalion commander. My personnel perform duties not only in the territory of the special military operation, but also in the points of permanent deployment. They are on combat duty, they provide communication to the commander, the combat crew on duty, which reflects the attack of drones. I have not only women under my command, but also men, and we find a common language with them, respectively. Due to the fact that the enemy is actively attacking our unmanned aerial vehicles, mobile firing groups have been created, and the result of their tasks, respectively, depends on how they will be given control. Our motto is that there is no control without communication, and we are trying to accomplish this task perfectly. Women from different branches of the armed forces in different fields are gathered here. But we all want to defeat the enemy on our terms. Thank you.
Since you're a signalman, how do you assess the situation in this very important area now? This is one of the most important areas, because, as you correctly said, without communication there can be no effective command of troops, which means that without communication there will be no result we need. So they turned off our Starlink. There are also other issues related to communication. There is also something that the enemy has used so far. When we use the appropriate technical capabilities that do not directly belong to us. How do you think the connection is now? And what else needs to be done in order for the connection to work flawlessly?
Well, you know, work is underway in this direction, and accordingly, the work is developing. Of course, you have just raised the issue of blocking Telegram, and this is such an enemy type of communication. Well, we probably need to develop something of our own. We need to improve what we have, so we need to refine our Max Messenger, and everything will be fine at the front.
There are more questions that we need to finalize within the framework of this Max Messenger, right? But, in general, there is a special connection in the troops.
The special connection is perfectly organized, so there are no problems.
But do you also agree with the opinion that the use of those communication systems that are not ours, which are beyond our control, pose a danger to personnel?
Of course, they are dangerous, that's right.
That is, the use of those types of communications that we do not control pose a danger to personnel, right?
That's right.
I see. But do the Ministry of Defense's special types of communications work? Is everything functioning there?
Yeah, they work well, in a well-established mode.
Okay, thanks.
Dear Vladimir Vladimirovich, my name is Yulia Malagalieva. I am a military surgeon. I am a participant in the second stream of the Time of Heroes program. Using the example of my story, I would like to tell you how dreams come true. In 2013, I entered the Kirov Military Medical Academy. And before the first session, the undergraduates told us various traditions, including that if you graduate from the academy with a gold medal, you can come to the Kremlin for the ceremony and the president himself will speak with parting words. For me, a girl from an ordinary family, this became the goal for all 6 years of study. My graduation was in 2019. I graduated from the academy with a gold medal. I had pride, tears of joy, and the expectation that I would now go to the Kremlin. But unfortunately, not everyone went to Moscow, including me. I stayed in St. Petersburg. Then there was a long road leading to a special military operation.
What did you do in St. Petersburg?
There I graduated from the Military Medical Academy. After that I was assigned to the city of Narofominsk, to a tank division, to a medical battalion, and there I continued my military service. And immediately after graduating from the academy, I stayed in St. Petersburg because I immediately entered the residency program, just in surgery, and after that I was already assigned to the medical battalion. Further,
Excuse me, Julia, but in the end, how long did you study at the academy?
8 years. Then I was in a special operation area.
How did you start your surgical career?
I started my surgical service in the medical battalion. We just caught outbreaks of the pandemic, and then we were immediately sent to a special operation. From February 2022 to May 2025, my colleagues and I worked together. My husband was there with me. He is a military anesthesiologist. We were in the zone of a special military operation. We provided full medical care. And, despite a series of injuries, surgeries, and sleepless nights, we were always saved by people, our mentors. This is very important. So I would like to express my gratitude and low bow to all the doctors, medics, who came from civilian hospitals, from military hospitals, who stood with us. I want to thank my seniors and mentors who taught us, and we learned a lot from them, and we avoided any mistakes and wrong decisions. Thanks to this, they have saved many more lives. And today, being here, to be honest, I still can't believe that after all these years, my old dream has finally come true. Thank you very much for making these meetings possible. I would also like to thank you for the Time of Heroes program, not only the federal program, but also at the regional levels. It is really very important that you see such potential in us, you hope, and we must in no way let you down, nor the country, nor our comrades. I would also like to say that participants in a special military operation and their family members have repeatedly asked me, and I am sure that many doctors as well, in particular, these are spouses and mothers who have applied for the protection of the reproductive health of military personnel. This is the preservation of fertility after injury. This is a legal uncertainty when using biological material. With your permission, I would like to give you possible measures to resolve this situation, because this issue is quite acute, and it is very important not only to preserve family well-being, but also to increase demographics.
I totally agree with that. The conditions in which our soldiers who serve are fighting are very harsh. That's understandable. It's overcoming water obstacles. They sleep on the ground, and so on. It's hard work. Apart from everything else, besides the fact that it is dangerous for life and health, it is also hard work. Therefore, this is a very important question. I'll be happy to look at it myself, and I'll pass it all on to the Ministry of Health. Look, what have you noticed lately? How is military healthcare changing? Including and primarily within and in the area of a special operation?
In fact, there are huge changes. Even if we compare 2022 and 2025, logistics and patient routing are very well set up now, and highly qualified medical care is being provided almost in trenches, not in basements. There are always and everywhere specialists of various levels. It is important that all this is confined to third-level hospitals, where narrow specialists are already looking at and improving something. They are doing something better, and they provide medical care to our fighters. And I would also like to notice that the nature of the injuries has also changed, because at first there were no drones or anything like that in such volumes.
There were other means of warfare.
Yet this is very important, because now, vascular surgeons are also working wonders.
Julia, bearing in mind the specifics of today, what would we need to do additionally at the moment?
Additionally?
Yes, as the person who was there, you know the situation there. What do we need to do additionally?
As I said above, I would add more about reproductive technologies. A lot of guys are concerned about this, especially if the injury affects that area. And of course, it is very important for them to have some kind of base, so that there is already a well-developed and well-established mechanism so that they do not worry about their future.
Yes.
In my opinion, this is very important.
Okay, I heard you. There is another question. You mentioned That people from civilian medical institutions are now joining the military. The interaction in general between military medicine and civilian medicine. Have you ever come into contact with this?
Yes.
How is it organized? And what could we do additionally to make the work in both these areas even more effective, aimed at helping our guys?
In fact, we have always had a very well-established interaction with civil healthcare in terms of some very complex surgical interventions or something like that. Flagship medical institutions have never refused us. It was always possible to contact a specialist who is qualified in this particular field. Now, for example, in the Moscow region, civilian healthcare is already helping even in writing military medical commissions. That is, they are as immersed as possible in this issue. And it is important that when doctors from civilian medical institutions come to us, they see firsthand how different it is to receive patients and work in peacetime, when deadlines are set, working hours from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., for example, or to 8 p.m. And what kind of work is there? What a huge burden lies on military doctors.
The interaction between military medicine and civilian medicine as a whole is well established. Do you see any refusals there?
There are no refusals, but maybe sometimes there are some legal limits. We are facing orders from the Ministry of Health, and, let's say, some special amount of help is needed. All the same, they always find the opportunity to provide full medical care, but, nevertheless, sometimes it is still necessary to work out the legislative part.
Okay, we'll look at the regulatory framework again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
By the way, on the Time of Heroes platform, how is the work organized there?
Thank you so much for this program. This is a tremendous experience, and I still can't believe it.
What do you do?
My mentor is Governor Andrei Vorobyov.
What does he know about medicine?
I'm doing an internship at the Ministry of Health of the Moscow region, and, of course, we have a minister there, Maxim Zabalin, who understands everything about medicine.
He's the organizer.
Yes, and of course, there is a lot to learn from the experience.
Is it interesting and useful?
Yeah, this integration is very useful. After all, military healthcare is very different from civilian healthcare. Because I've known all my life how everything works in our Ministry of Defense.
Okay, thanks. It broadens your horizons.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Dear friends, I kindly ask you to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.